Hello, in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about creating references and in-text citations. I know often many of your discussion board posts and papers require them, and so I want to make sure that you have a good understanding just as to what a reference is and is not. So I'm going to walk you through how I create one. So the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to our good old-fashioned Google. As you see in here, for all references and citations, we do use the APA 7th edition. Many people use citation machines and things like that. But of course, as with anything AI, it's only as good as the information that you put into it. So here we have my Google, and I Googled APA 7th edition. That stands for the American Psychological Association 7th edition, and that is the manual that's used throughout the social work program. So any references should be from this, and you can check your syllabus if you want to see where it actually talks about that. So there's a lot of different places you can go. I've always used the Purdue OWL. Purdue, of course, Purdue University. They have a really nice website that I found to be really easy to understand. And so I'll go to that website right here, and I'll find the formatting and style guide. So whenever you're writing papers, this is actually where the format of writing an APA citation is. So you can take a look at that, the general format on writing an APA paper. So especially if you haven't written an APA paper for a while, just looking at what should the fonts be, what should we be clarifying. I love bullet points in any of our papers. Having an appropriate title page is incredibly important. And so here it has an example of exactly how your paper should look and what you need to have in it. So just a recommendation, even though we're not talking about that right now. So when we look over to the left side of the page, we have a whole bunch of different things regarding reference lists. What are the basic rules, using an author, article in a periodical, books, and electronic sources. So I know today, in today's times, we are really using a lot of electronic sources. Sometimes it can be a video or an article you found from a newspaper online. And so we're just going to jump over to reference list, electronic sources. And so here you actually find a reference. And so you can find the item that is most like whatever you're trying to reference. So web page, piece of online content, it gives you the format of exactly how to do it. So last name, and then those are first initials, year, month, date, title of page, site name. And so this is good for a web page or piece of online content. And so like here is an example, price, comma, D, 2018, comma, March 23rd, laziness does not exist. And then medium is the name of the site. And then the URL right there, that HTTPS, and that's where you would actually find it. All references have kind of that format. Sometimes they put it in slightly different order depending on what it is. If it's a scholarly article versus a web page, something like that. But there's always a way you get to know who the author is, when the piece was written, what's the title, and then how could I find it if I wanted to go find it, and what journal is it going to be? And so this is a reference. For some of you who maybe you just put this, that's not a complete reference because it's only the URL. All right. So similarly, when we're looking at in-text citation, so that is a reference. A citation, an in-text citation is a little bit different. So here we have directions for those too. Of course, we have in-text citations, the basics, but also in-text citations, author or authors. And so this applies to everything. So first, always do your reference, because once you get your reference, then it's easy to figure out your in-text citation. And so here you go. It said work by two authors. It's always author last names, comma, year. And so right there, you have an example. And then it talks about what would happen, depending on how it's written in the paper. Do note some of the special things about et al. There's not a period after et, after the T, but there is after the L, and then it's dot, comma. And so this site gives you some really great examples so that as you create your reference and citation, you can actually look to see what it would look like. And so a couple of things to remember with that. You always need a citation, an in-text citation, anytime you are pulling information from a source. So if you list data, if you say in 2020, 5% of people did this, that needs a reference because it's a very specific fact that you are pulling from the source. Of course, any quotations should also include that. And there's some additional information on how to quote if there is citations and things like that. I actually think it's in the basics here. So if you're using page numbers, if you're actually using a book, or if you're doing a quotation, there's an additional thing that you need to make sure you put the page in there. And so then, of course, just some rules about always capitalizing proper nouns, making sure that even how you're capitalizing is important. And so when you're doing a reference and an in-text citation, I am paying attention to the punctuation and the capitalization because within references and citations, that matters. And so, of course, I will always give you feedback as to exactly what didn't go right. If you see that you get marked down. And so always go back to this, take a look at my feedback, and then take a look at this rule book, the APA 7th edition, because that'll tell you exactly what you need to do to make it better next time. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and let me know, and I can help you through the basics. So with that, good luck with all of your references and citations, and have a fantastic day. So long.